People who think they're tracking accurately are on average 40 to 90% off. Welcome back to another episode of the Smart Body Performance Podcast. And today we're going to delve into 4 crazy reasons why you're eating way more than you think. And the reason I decided to make this podcast was on my question box when I do it on Instagram, such a common question we get is, hey Reese, I'm eating 800 calories or I'm eating 1100 calories and I'm just not getting any results, right? But the real question is, are you really only eating that much? And in this episode, I'm going to break down 4 reasons as to why you're probably not. Now, the first one is you eat out way more than you realize. And there's no problem in that, but there's a consideration surrounding it, okay? Now, what we need to bear in mind when you're eating out is, number one, you don't know how this food's being cooked, right? You like to think it's being cooked healthily, but let's be honest, it's probably not, because a couple of reasons. Number one, foods that are cooked a little bit more unhealthily tend to be more palatable, which means you have the want to eat more food after you finish a palatable dish, which tends to be the dishes that are super high in oil, right? And it's in most takeout places or restaurants' best interest for you to continue to be somewhat hungry after a meal, because then you're going to order more and spend more money with said restaurant, right? Number 2 is you don't know in and around the foods that have been cooked. You don't know how much oil it's being used, how deep fried it is, or whatever they're using as an ingredient, right? Let's say, for instance, you got a prawn salad. Is that prawn salad just a prawn salad, right? Or are they also putting, is it croutons in there? Are they putting peppers? Are they, drizzling, salad dressing all over the top of it? Like, there's so many things you don't realize when you're eating out. And then there's the flip side, right? You might go to a restaurant, they might bring out complimentary bread, some breadsticks, something small, something you think is absolutely harmless. I'll have a couple of breadsticks, it's not the end of the world. You do that, eating out twice a week. You do that, across a month. That's maybe 8 extra breadsticks you didn't count, right? And in and of itself, not that much of a difference, right? Not the end of the world. But these small little things, they add up. And you don't quite realize just how much. Or it might just be the little dessert. You go, I'll just have this in there. And you don't, I won't really track it or make a note of it. It's only one dessert here. I only do it once a week, right? And again, these once a weeks, they add up. Let's say, for instance, like on one meal, you didn't track 2 breadsticks, or you didn't think about 2 breadsticks and maybe a dessert. You do that every week. Let's say that's 2,000 calories across an entire month. Random example, right? You times that by 12 months of the year, 2,000 times 12, 24,000 calories, right? And you divided that by 3.5, which is obviously the amount of calories in 1 pound of body fat. 24 divided by 3.5. Here comes a crack at some random maths, maybe 7 calories, about 8 pounds of body fat, right? As an example. So these small things add up. And I'm not saying you've got to go out and track your food meticulously at a restaurant. Absolutely not, right? And if you're going out, for social occasion, whatever, don't, right? But if you eat out twice a week, might be a good idea just to have a little bit more awareness around your nutrition to make your results more predictable. Because the beauty of it is, once you transform, you can have a lot more leeway. Because when you push your calories up towards maintenance, you have more room to play with, right? Which means you can enjoy food a little bit more or have different foods or whatever it may now be, okay? Number 2, is a healthy snack really a healthy snack? And what I mean by this is people think, I eat so healthy, but I'm not losing weight. And I'll go, okay, great. Run me through a typical day of nutrition. Reese, it's so healthy. Great. Let's hear it. Okay. So if for breakfast, I'd have avocados and eggs on toast, right? Super healthy. Brilliant. Okay, cool. What's lunch look like? Lunch, I always have, a handful of nuts. I'll have, a seeded bagel, and I'd have a peanut butter and protein smoothie. Okay, awesome. How's your evening meal? Evening meal is usually a salad. I usually just have a salad with some croutons, some avocado, some eggs, some chicken, a bunch of spinach and, whatever else I can find from the drawer to chuck in there. Okay, great. So in hindsight, and you might have snacks in between. In hindsight, very healthy meal. But how calorific is that, right? Eggs and avocado on toast for morning, very, very heavy in the calories. Peanut butter smoothie. Peanut butter and protein smoothie for lunch with, a high fat, healthy fat, but high fat, lunch, seed bagels, they add up, right? All of a sudden you're looking back and going, okay, it's super healthy, but is it calorie controlled? Because they both matter when it comes to transformation journey. And if anything, if we look at the actual science, and people don't like it when I say this, but I'm going to cut straight through the BS, it's calories in versus calories out, right? The way we burn fat is by intaking less calories than we burn every day. That's the only way we drop body fat. And you might hear twats online going, oh no, it's not about calories. It's about just nutrients, or it's about being in keto diet. And it's not, it's bullshit, right? The science behind it, which is backed by every study, or every study of studies as well, it's backed by, right? So that's an important consideration. So you could be having the healthiest foods in the world and you might not be losing body fat, and this might be why. So you want to focus on, from a caloric perspective, making sure your calories are controlled. So yes, you can still have avocado. Yes, you can still have eggs, absolutely. But if they fit within your calories. And if I'm looking at that example of a meal I just plucked out of thin air just there, I might say, okay, so for breakfast, instead of having avocado and eggs on toast, maybe change your eggs for egg whites, and maybe have half an avocado as opposed to a full avocado. Random example, right? Straight away, loads of calories saved. For lunch, instead of seeded bagel and, avocado, or whatever it may be, could you maybe look at a less caloric option? Or instead of like a smoothie, maybe look at something that's just a protein shake without the peanut butter, right? These little small things that we think are healthy add up considerably. So the question you need to ask yourself, is my healthy diet actually healthy for body composition, aesthetics, and changing the physique? And if some people listening to this are morbidly obese, the two go hand in hand. So you think, oh, it's so important to be healthy. Okay, but is having a BMI on the obese range healthy? No. So I would rather that person have Nutella on toast for breakfast over avocado on toast, because they'll lose weight faster and they might be fat and need to lose weight faster, right? Random example, and that triggers a lot of people, and I love it because it gives me the chance to go, right, here's the science, here's why. So that's a really important consideration. Now, on that, obviously, you want to keep your diet super healthy, because the healthier it is, the more satiated you'll feel, the better energy you'll have, the more adherence you'll probably have long term. But the moderation element's obviously important as well, because from an adherence perspective, it helps even more too. Okay. Then number 3 is digestion. And what I mean by digestion in relation to how it makes you, or how you're eating more than you think without realizing, without looking after your digestion, is because oftentimes when you've just eaten a meal, it takes your body a little while to understand that it's just eating a full meal. And what I mean by that is, if you're absolutely scoffing a meal down and you finish it like within 2 minutes, and you get to the end of your meal and think, oh my God, I'm still starving. You haven't given your body the opportunity to digest this meal and send the signal and reduce ghrelin, which is your hunger hormone, and increase leptin, which is the hormone that's effectively telling your body you're satisfied, you're full, right? So if you eat slower, you chew your meals, you put your knife and fork down between bites, you'll notice that by the end of the meal, you feel super satisfied. Because from a digestive perspective, you allowed your body time to digest, you've allowed the leptin to increase, which means you're not as hungry anymore and your appetite is reduced. And you don't then go, right, where's the next snack? Or something that I see very often, we coach a lot of mothers and fathers, they might finish their meal really quickly, and naturally kids take a while to eat, right? Most kids take ages to eat. So then they finish and they go, oh, I still feel quite hungry. Here, little Jimmy, are you eating that? No? Oh, brilliant. All right, brilliant. And you just snack on your kid's food. And there's probably a lot of mothers or fathers listening to this, like slowly nodding their head. And I'm thinking, yep, that's me. That little, chicken dinosaur you didn't track, it adds up. You do that every meal with 2 kids for a week, it adds up on top of the restaurant bits you missed out, right? These little small things, they add up. And unfortunately, it may seem like people go, oh, ain't you been a bit obsessive? It's like, well, if you're obsessed with healthy, being more confident, living your life to the fullest, and for the short term, making sacrifices, so for the long term, you feel a million times better, hell fucking yeah, right? Because when you get that result, those little bites don't matter as much. I'm not saying they don't matter, but it don't matter as much, right? So it's a big consideration. So 4th and final reason, which is a massive one as well, is you look at food as reward after exercise. So you may just finish a really good workout. You may have just done legs, bums, and tums, or you've just finished up and you think, right, I feel great. I smashed the workout. I feel on top of the world. Great. You stop by Starbucks on the way home and get a frappuccino, macchiato, chiato, cabato. And you go, right, yeah, I'm going to have one of these to treat myself after a great class. You may have burnt 300 calories in that class and just had a 500 calorie coffee right? Well, I say coffee. In my opinion, as soon as you break the 400 calorie marker, you don't like coffee, you like milkshakes, right? So you finish it off with this, what you tell yourself is a coffee, which is actually a milkshake. And then you go, oh, I've just done a great bit of exercise, so I'm going to treat myself. I'm going to reward myself. You've just kind of canceled out the point of the exercise, right? Don't get me wrong, exercise goes so much more beyond burning calories. And in my opinion, you shouldn't even think about the calories you burn when you train. It should be more primarily focused towards resistance training, muscle building, or muscle optimization. If you're in a fat loss phase, retaining muscle tissue is really important because we're vulnerable to lose it. That's the way your mindset should be when it comes to training. But ultimately, the fact of the matter is you're still burning additional calories, right? It still helps. So if you then go and undo a lot of the hard work by just going and eating yourself, a bunch of food after as a reward, like, you're not a dog, you don't need to earn treats, right? But at the same time, you need to be sensible with the food you're putting in your gullet, because that's going to help you transform, right? So that's 4 pretty crazy reasons that people don't actually consider when it comes to transforming, and why people are 40 to 90% inaccurate with their tracking, and why they think they're in a deficit, but they're probably not. Hope you found that useful. Again, we're going to be posting value like this every single week. So make sure, if you're watching this on YouTube, you like and you subscribe. If you're watching this on the podcast, if you're watching this on Spotify or Apple, you subscribe to the podcast, because value will be coming like this all the time. If you listen to all these episodes, you'll transform in no time, because this advice I'm giving you, I'm not holding back, and I'm telling you everything I know to help you transform. See you in the next episode, guys.